If you've spent any time around the gym or sport in general, you've probably heard people talking about creatine. Some swear by it. Others say you don't need supplements at all. But what actually is creatine, and does it really make a difference? In this video, we're going to break down what creatine does inside your body, how it affects performance, and whether it's actually worth adding to your routine. For that, we need to look at something called the ATPPC system. Now, don't worry, it sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Your body runs on a molecule called ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. And that tri part is important because it literally just means three. A TP has three phosphate groups attached to it, and those phosphates are what store energy. When your body needs to produce force quickly, like during a sprint, a jump, or a heavy lift, it breaks one of those phosphates off. That turns ATP into ADP, which stands for adenosine diphosphate. So now it only has two phosphates left. And when that phosphate is removed, energy is released instantly. That's what your muscles use to contract. You can think of ATP like a fully charged battery. As soon as you use it, it drops down to a lower charge, ADP. The problem is your body only stores a very small amount of ATP. We're talking enough for just a few seconds of maximum effort. So if you want to keep going, your body needs a way to quickly recharge it. And this is where creatine comes in. Inside your muscles, you store creatine in a form called phosphocreatine. This acts like a rapid backup system. When ATP levels start to drop, phosphocreatine steps in and basically says, take my phosphate instead. It donates its phosphate to ADP, turning it straight back into ATP again. So instead of slowly rebuilding energy through other systems, your body has this quick, almost instant way to recycle its most powerful energy source. This system is what powers short, explosive efforts, usually lasting around 5 to 10 seconds. After that, your body has to rely more on slower energy systems. But creatine also helps between efforts. When you rest, it speeds up how quickly your ATP stores recover, which is why after a couple of minutes, you're able to go again at high intensity. So when people talk about creatine improving performance, this is what they mean. It's not creating energy out of nowhere. It's just helping your body recycle its fastest energy system more efficiently. So what actually happens when you start taking creatine? Well, first off, it simply increases the amount of creatine stored in your muscles. And that leads to a couple of noticeable effects. The first one is performance. Because you've got more creatine available, your body can regenerate ATP a bit faster during short, intense efforts. And in practice, that doesn't mean anything dramatic. It's not like you suddenly become twice as strong. What it does mean is small improvements that add up. Maybe you get one extra rep at the end of a set. Maybe your sprint performance drops off slightly less between efforts, or maybe you just feel a bit more consistent across your workout instead of hitting a wall early. And that's really where creatine shines. It helps you maintain performance when you're starting to fatigue. The second effect is something a lot of people notice pretty quickly, and that's weight gain, but not in the way most people think. Creatine pulls water into your muscle cells, so you might see the scale go up by around 1 to 2 kilos when you first start taking it. Your muscles can also look a bit fuller because of this, but this isn't fat gain. It's just increased water inside the muscle itself, which can actually support performance and recovery. Now, this leads to an important point. Creatine doesn't directly make you stronger overnight. What it does is give you the ability to train slightly better, whether that's an extra rep, a bit more power, or better recovery between sets. And over time, those small improvements compound. So instead of thinking of creatine as something that transforms your results instantly, it's more accurate to think of it as something that helps you get more out of the work you're already doing. Now, it's also worth knowing that creatine isn't some artificial substance your body's never seen before. You actually get creatine naturally through your diet. Foods like red meat, especially beef and lamb, and certain types of fish like salmon and tuna all contain creatine. The issue is the amount. To get the same level of creatine that you'd get from a standard supplement dose, you'd need to eat pretty large amounts of these foods every single day. And for most people, that's just not practical. That's why supplements are so popular. They're simply a convenient and efficient way to increase the amount of creatine your muscles can store. So, is creatine actually worth it? The honest answer is it depends on what you're looking for. If you're expecting something dramatic, like instant strength gains or a completely different physique, creatine probably isn't going to live up to that. The effects are relatively small, but they're consistent. Creatine helps you get a little bit more out of your training, an extra rep here, slightly better performance there, and over time, that can add up. It's also worth remembering that creatine isn't essential. You can get it naturally through foods like red meat and fish, and plenty of people make great progress without ever taking a supplement. So you don't need creatine to see results. But if you're training regularly and you want that slight edge, whether that's pushing a bit harder in the gym or even just having your muscles look a bit fuller, then creatine is one of the simplest and most well supported options out there. So, really, it comes down to this: creatine won't do the work for you, but it can help you get a little more out of the work you're already doing. And for a lot of people, that's enough to make it worth it.